Live from Citizen TV, this is Tonight with Sam Gituku.
Good evening. Thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this 8th day of August 2024. And of course, tonight on Data Point, the Higher Education Loans Board is in the process of finalizing allocating scholarship resources to more than 100,000 students that are expected to join universities, various universities in the country. And I'll be telling you about the 30 to 70% of the scholarship that all these learners will be accorded, and that means the government financing, and it will also mean that families will have to cough between 6,120 shillings and 244,000 shillings. This will be coming from the families, of course, depending on their circumstances as well as the courses that they have been invited to. And alongside that, there's something else that will be happening, and that is the student upkeep, which will be in the form of loans of between 40,000 shillings and 60,000 shillings. We'll be getting those numbers later on for you, which is on Data Point. But also tonight, the news gang is back and we'll be focusing on the new cabinet that was just sworn in today, but also the politics within and what else has happened during the day, including the Nane Nane protest. But first, here are the top stories tonight. Tear gas and running battles in Nairobi as police thwart the planned Nane Nane protest march. No access, no normalcy. City residents keep off the Nairobi Central Business District as police erect roadblocks.
With the formation of this broad-based government that brings together former political rivals into one selfless patriotic team, we will unlock the potential of our country.
Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury and Economic Planning.
My team of rivals. President Ruto sets out the agenda as 19 cabinet secretaries sworn in. Inside the cabinet, the protests and an interview. It is the closet edition on the news gang. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Njoki Shege. Now, several people were injured and over 170 suspected protesters arrested countrywide as demonstrators engaged police in running battles in the capital, Nairobi, during the Nane Nane protests. Demonstrators were demanding for the resignation of President William Ruto from office in what they termed a mother of all protests. Emmanuel Toh reports.
Gunshot sounds, exploding tear gas canisters painted the Nairobi skyline white on a drizzly Thursday morning during the Nane Nane demos against President William Ruto's administration. From as early as 9 a.m., the stage appeared set for a duel as the protesters engaged the police in a now too familiar script of running battles.
Government is just not doing anything about paying these debts to university lecturers.
We are fighting for good governance. This cannot be an anti-government protest. This is a pro-government protest. We are fighting for better conditions.
And as the day built up, protesters locked down the city from all fronts as some occupied Moi Avenue, Kenyatta Avenue and Ronald Ngala streets in the Central Business District. The police were at some point outmaneuvered, outclassed and outnumbered, opting to retreat, but it was not for long. The police came back forcefully, resorting to clear the city by chasing vendors off the streets.
Na natumia hii. Nikikosa kazi nakuja natafuta. Nikikuja kutafuta ni shida, nifanye nini? Siona tulikuwa na tear gas. Nifanye nini?
Including matatu operators turning the working class to a walking class.
Hainuliwe na watu wengi.
During the melee, some protesters were dramatically arrested, like this one who was momentarily airborne as police dealt with him after resisting arrest. In the end, the confrontation left a trail of injuries and destruction of property, with those injured rushed to Kenyatta National Hospital and nearby hospitals for medical assistance. Emmanuel To, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All entry points into the central business district of Nairobi were blocked by police officers in a bid to prevent protesters from marching to the city for the Nane Nane protests. Security was heightened around and within the CBD as passengers in public service vehicles were forced to walk long distances to the city as police limited access into the city. Brenda Wanga reports.
The capital, Nairobi, was to play host to the grand and final march and protest that was planned by the country's youthful population. But today, the government's full machinery was deployed to ensure that this did not happen. The police were not taking any chances. Entry to the city was a closely monitored and guarded affair. Right from Mombasa Road, the roadblocks were erected as far back as Mlolongo. Passengers in public service vehicles were not allowed to commute to the CBD.
Kutoka hapa mpaka mahali naenda inachukua almost 2 hours kama natembea mguu. Gari inachukua dakika kama 45.
Those coming from Thika Road and the environs also had to contend with police stops that were erected at intervals along the otherwise busy, traffic-choked road. Today, the roads were clear, save for the presence of police, both traffic and ordinary, who subjected motorists and passengers to impromptu and mandatory checks. Their agenda was one.
Tumeshukishwa kwa gari, tunaambiwa kwa sini majenzi juu kwa gari hakuna wazee na tunaenda Nairobi. Na inatakikana tufike salama. Sasa sijui ya maaskari wetu wanataka aje.
Along Nyayo Stadium, the situation was the same. There was no passage of PSVs into town, while private motorists were also inspected thoroughly before being allowed entry. Waiyaki Way was also treated to the same arrangement. PSVs denied entry into the CBD. Travelers both from within Nairobi and some coming from upcountry left to their own devices on this road that leads to the city.
Nimetoka Bungoma kuja kutafuta Nairobi pesa, lakini wametufungia barabara. Ona sisi ni wana magari, tunaendesha barabara magari, lakini tunakaa tukipikwa mawe, barabara zimefungwa, hatuna nyuma wala mbele.
I'm headed to work, but tumefika hapa Kangemi. It's not that easy for us because tumeshukishwa na we were headed to town. Personally, I'm going to Kilimani. I'm going to work.
What is it?
Sorry.
The inconvenience of the checks and termination of journeys outside the CBD evident among the passengers who were forced to walk long distances to their destinations, physical ability notwithstanding.
Biashara ndio iko chini. Sasa hiyo nimeleta watu kutoka town, nimemwaga hapa. Huyu ananikataza siende town, ndio nashindwa nini inaendelea.
The police leading this operation that lasted for the entire day defended their actions, saying what they have done is necessary.
No, they are not being turned. They are not being turned. We are just trying to regulate. We are just trying to regulate who gets to town and who is not. You know, there are those people of bad will, and they want to get to town to go to maim, cause maim or a robbery kind of whatever. So we are trying to avoid that. But we are just regulating. Any other person of goodwill, they travel back to their normal place of destinations.
The vehicular movement restrictions were not just limited to the central business district in Nairobi. Roads leading to and away from State House were also restricted, with motorists seeking to use them having to go through the erected roadblocks. The police also maintained that violent demonstrations will not be allowed to take place in the country under any circumstances. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
And so the Nairobi CBD was a ghost town on Thursday following Nane Nane protests that saw businesses remain closed for the better part of the day and running battles, chaos and tension that gripped the CBD. While no incidences of looting were reported as had been experienced in previous protests, the lull in business activities in the capital resulted in lost business opportunities running into the millions. Melita Oletenges reports.
As Thursday's Nane Nane protests carried on in Nairobi CBD, a majority of business persons opted to stay at home and close shop, staying away from chaos and any danger posed to them or the threat of looting of their businesses. The normal buzz in major streets such as Kenyatta Avenue and Moi Avenue was missing. A deserted town with businesses bearing the brunt of the unrest. The usual bustle replaced by an eerie tension. Many establishments, including banks, retail stores and eateries, shut down as owners opted for caution.
Hatutakuwa na hii culture. Lazima tutarudi kwa drawing board. Kwa sababu we have to have the interest of the businessmen. Unaona vile town iko. Kuna wale wako affected. So kila wiki tukiwa na off days ama likizo, kibiashara ama hatuwezi kugrow your economy. Ni sawa tuko na matatizo. So lazima turudi nyuma tuangalie ni strategy gani itakuwa effective ili kupata hii good governance.
Maisha ya leo sasa ni ngumu sana. Leo hakuna biashara kabisa. Leo niko tu na 200 kutoka saa 12 asubuhi mpaka saa hii. Kawaida huwezi kosa hata kama ni ngirimbili zako, lakini saa hii kama uko na 200 bwana, si leo ni jaa tu. Juu pikipiki bado umezunguka unatafuta customer. Kuna pale unapata customer, unatafuta kila mtu wako tu zambiu.
The increased police barricades further disrupted business operations as transport was paralyzed. Commuter vehicles accessing the CBD were few as barriers were set up on highways leading to the city, such as Mombasa and Thika roads. Nairobi County collects an average of 70 to 80 million shillings in a day in revenue on a normal day. But with the chaos, the figures dipped to below 10 million shillings. With political instability witnessed in the country in the last 3 months, prolonged disruptions in the capital, Nairobi, can have cascading effects on the broader economy, including job losses.
Biashara kila mahali watu hawakuji town. Na sisi kama wadumu wa bodaboda tunategemea watu up and down, peleka pale, peleka kule. So ningeomba serikali pia wasikizane na Gen Z. Ndiyo serikali imesikiza kwa kudissolve the cabinet. Ruto naye amesikia mpaka mahali fulani. So ningeomba tu Gen Z nao wakuje chini kidogo waelewane na serikali.
Some businessmen hired private guards to keep vigil at their business premises, fearing vandalism by goons. The effect of the protest in the country's capital, Nairobi, according to economic experts, may not be felt immediately, but in the coming days. When chaos erupts in the Nairobi Central Business District, the economic strain is palpable as most shops remain closed. The pinch is felt by businessmen and women who depend on this populous city for survival. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV, the Nairobi Business District, Nairobi.
Now, police are on the spot yet again for targeting and attacking journalists who are covering the Nane Nane protests in Nairobi Central Business District. Police were filmed attacking journalists, firing tear gas canisters directly at media crews, injuring some of the journalists. At close range, the officers resorted to kicks and blows against the media representatives. When asked about the repeated harassment of the media, Acting Police Inspector General Gilbert Masengeli could not give a satisfactory answer, instead directing the police to collaborate with journalists covering protests. Stephen Leto was there.
It was another bad day at work for journalists who are covering the Gen Z Nane Nane protests. As soon as media crews took positions in the CBD at 9 a.m., trigger-happy and menacing police officers decided to descend on the messenger. One female journalist faced the wrath of these officers. She was hit by the infamous long wooden sticks. It became apparent for journalists as police, discussing in low tones, were keen to keep journalists at bay. It was a rough day in the field. As the day progressed, police aimed tear gas canisters to spaces occupied by members of the Fourth Estate. From time to time, disrupting our livelings by exploding canisters under our feet.
These were the exact place where the running battles were, Kimathi Street becoming a no-go zone as police continue to battle protesters. That is one of the journalists. That is one of the journalists being
A few minutes after 3 p.m., police stationed at the Kimati Street Junction were literally baying for our blood. It is at this point that hell broke loose. Angry journalists questioned the anti-riot police on why they were turning their guns on journalists, from verbal exchanges to an exchange of blows and kicks. For about 30 minutes, undeterred journalists engaged anti-riot police, attempting to unmask their faces. It is during this confrontation that I found myself choked by the smoke and unconscious, thanks to one journalist who gave a helping hand.
Media is under attack and we reject. Media is under attack and we reject.
A foreign journalist was hit on his right foot and sustained injuries. As if that was not enough, the police directed tear gas canisters at CNN journalist Larry Madawo and his team.
Ah! That was aimed directly at me. He's aiming directly at me. He's aiming directly at me. Ah! He's shooting directly at me. Why are you shooting at me? Why are you shooting at me?
Police Acting Inspector General, when asked on the happening against journalists, failed to give a satisfactory explanation.
I'd like to thank the members of the Fourth Estate for the continuous support they have given to us. And it's because of you that we have witnessed and we've known some other bad guys who have come in to do the same. And in this regard, I just urge the Fourth Estate, the media team, so that we unite and work together as a team as we continue making sure we save our country for a better Kenya.
Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
It is safe to say that Leto is okay now. In the meantime, relative calm was witnessed across towns that were previously rocked by anti-government protests, with residents appreciating the ceasefire to allow government to implement its agenda. In Mombasa, Kisumu and Migori counties, businesses operating as usual as traders sought to make hay while the sun shone. Laura Otieno reports.
It was business as usual at the Kisumu bus park on Thursday. What started off as a slow morning picked pace later in the day as more people thronged the lakeside city for normal business. The announced nationwide Nane protest did not take place, with the residents appreciating the ceasefire.
Jinsi ambao sasa wataendelea wapiga vita Nairobi, lakini sisi watu wa Kisumu tumemaliza kitu inaitwa maandamano. Tunafanya nini? Kazi. Isipokuwa hawa wakiendelea kukosa kufanya kazi mzuri, ndio tutarudi barabarani.
Siku ya leo hali si nzuri, hali ni mbaya. Watu iko chonjo. Hali si nzuri. Pesa kuna, watu nasikia njaa.
A similar situation was replicated in Homa Bay County as well as Mombasa County, where residents appreciated the lull in the protests, asking for Kenyans to give the president time to deliver his agenda.
Naomba tu watu wetu wakuwa tu na tulivu, wawache mambo ya maandamano. Sasa ili tukue na maendeleo, tukuangalia sehemu zingine ya Kenya anakuwa na maendeleo. Sasa tupatie rais yetu wa Kenya nafasi afanye kazi.
Mimi ningemweleza rais kupitia na maoni yangu ni ya kwamba lolote lenye ambaye atakaloifanya ahusishe vijana na sijaribu kusikiza wale ambaye wako karibu na yeye.
Hapa Kisii tumesema mambo na maandamano hatutaki. Hatutaki Kisii maandamano kabisa. Tunataka wale masiasa wenye wamepangwa wasaidie rais wetu wa nchi ya Kenya, wamsaidie kazi.
Other areas that have been rocked by violent protests before but experienced calm on Thursday include Nyamira, Kisii, Migori, Nakuru and Nyeri counties. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, police are this evening pursuing businessman Jimmy Wanjigi over claims of being linked to tear gas canisters allegedly found in a vehicle outside his home in Nairobi. One person was arrested during the dramatic afternoon police operation that commenced in Nairobi's Central Business District and culminated at Wanjigi's home in Muthaiga. Seth Olale reports.
It all started in Nairobi's business district, where businessman Jimmy Wanjigi had joined protesters before police lobbed tear gas canisters to disperse them. What followed was a dramatic motor vehicle chase involving Wanjigi's motorcade and police patrol vehicles from CBD to Muthaiga via Thika Road. The vehicle carrying Wanjigi is reported to have made its way inside his compound as the chase car was abandoned outside the gate by the time police caught up with Wanjigi's convoy. A heavy police contingent, including DCA Special Crimes Unit, camped outside Wanjigi's house, conducting forensic analysis on the abandoned vehicle.
They trailed him from town to his home. So fortunately for him, he was home way ahead of the police. So that's really what happened today.
According to Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli, one person was arrested and tear gas canisters found in the abandoned vehicle seized.
In the vehicle, we have recovered 4 tear gas canister, 2 Motorola gadgets, 7 assorted chargers for the pocket phones, and 1 mobile phone. Investigators are on the ground to ascertain more details.
Police ordering Jimmy Wanjigi to surrender at the nearest police station, even as Wanjigi's family cry foul.
No, it's not shocking. It's not the first time we've been raided. So it seems that whenever we're a threat to them, they decide to raid us. But this is all in the spirit of political freedom. Why, when you show opinion against the government, do you have to be victimized like this?
The abandoned vehicle was towed by the police as heavily armed police officers sought access to Wanjigi's home, albeit without success.
Our appeal is that he surrenders to the nearest police station whatsoever.
Wanjigi's family says it's obtaining CCTV footage to show that the alleged tear gas canisters were planted in the abandoned vehicle, which is now in police custody. Until Thursday evening, additional security private guards were deployed at Jimmy Wanjigi's home in Muthaiga. This particular location also serving as a diplomatic neighborhood. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, 44 Muthaiga, Nairobi County.
And as we speak, several police officers are still camping around the home of Jimmy Wanjigi. We'll bring you the details as soon as we get them. In the meantime, President William Ruto has yet again made a case for the broad-based government as he oversaw the swearing-in of the 19 cabinet secretaries. The head of state, who has been without a cabinet since the 11th of July, said the new team will bring together former political rivals into one selfless, patriotic team. Our political affairs reporter Emmanuel Toh has more.
As he swore in his 19 cabinet secretaries, President William Ruto opened with an upbeat speech full of bold admissions that all has not been well within his government.
It is true, and I freely admit, that due to suboptimal communication of our development agenda and a feeling of insufficient public engagement, we have lost many opportunities to walk the journey of transforming Kenya with everyone aboard.
Nearly a month ago, President Ruto dissolved his entire cabinet, only sparing his prime cabinet secretary Musalia Mudavadi. Out of the dissolution came the broad-based political arrangement that saw the head of state reach out to his political rival, ODM leader Raila Odinga.
I am persuaded that this moment in the life of our nation calls on us to build a strong team of rivals. With the formation of this broad-based government that brings together former political rivals into one selfless, patriotic team, we will unlock the potential of our country.
Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury, and Economic Planning.
By a team of rivals, President Ruto was making reference to the inclusion of 4 key figures from the opposition ODM party, given powerful and influential dockets in his administration.
I, John Badingongo,
former ODM chairman John Mbadi, took the oath of office as CS for Treasury,
being appointed a cabinet secretary.
Former minority leader Opiyo Wandayi sworn in as CS for Energy.
Do swear that I will at all times be faithful to the Republic of Kenya.
Former ODM deputy party leader Hassan Ali Joho was sworn in as CS for Mining and Blue Economy.
As may be required for the due discharge.
And his former counterpart Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya taking over the reins as the next CS for cooperatives and MSMEs. And every time they completed their oath-taking outside the venue, officials were seen affixing official flags to the newly assigned vehicles, a symbol they were now cabinet secretaries.
I, Kithure Kindiki.
Besides onboarding the opposition in his broad-based government, President Ruto retained key allies such as CS for Interior and National Administration Professor Kithure Kindiki.
That I will obey, respect and uphold this Constitution of Kenya.
Aiden Duale, who now takes up the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Kipchumba Murkomen, who was sworn in as CS for Sports, Rosalinda Soipan Tuya to the Defense Docket, and David Chirchir to the Transport and Roads portfolio. In President Ruto's new cabinet will be a set of newcomers, including Water and Sanitation CS Eric Mugaa, Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasa of Health, Julius Migoso Gamba of Education, Dr. Andrew Mohia Karanja to Agriculture and Livestock Development, and Margaret Nyambura Ndongo to Information, Communication and Digital Economy. Setting his sights on the task ahead, President Ruto highlighted 10 areas of focus for his new cabinet.
We shall introduce measures to levy a surcharge against any accounting officer or other public officer who has, by their action or omission, occasioned loss of public resources.
The Attorney General nominee Dorcas Oduor and East African Community and Regional Development CS nominee Beatrice Askul will be vetted tomorrow, Friday. After their swearing in, the 19 cabinet secretaries will now hit the ground running with their duties and responsibilities as President William Ruto demands servant leadership and commitment in their service as he turns a new page in his administration that he seeks to have the ear of the people. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, State House, Nairobi.
All right, at 28 minutes past the hour, we are taking a short break, but when we come back, here's what's coming up.
On Data Point, parents of new first-year university
Tonight. Now, Meru County Assembly has voted to impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza for a third time after 49 members of the Assembly voted in favor of a motion seeking her ouster, with 17 MCAs opposing it. Meru County Assembly Deputy Majority Leader Zipporah Kinya, who moved the motion, accused the governor of abuse of office, gross misconduct and gross violation of the Constitution and other laws. And as Safin Acheng Omar now reports, Governor Mwangaza has for the last 2 years faced 5 impeachment motions at the Assembly, 2 of which have made it to the Senate but been defeated.
I vote yes.
The political circus in Meru County was extended in a heated session at the Meru County Assembly on Thursday. The Governor, Kawira Mwangaza, once again facing the wrath of members of the County Assembly who sought her removal from office for a 5th time since she was elected.
Those who voted for the ayes are 49.
The members debated a 5th impeachment motion which had been tabled on the 31st of July 2024 by the Deputy Majority Leader Zipporah Kinya. Kinya accused Mwangaza of 3 counts, including alleged gross violation of the Constitution and other laws by illegally revoking the appointment of Virginia Kawira as the Secretary of the County Public Service Board.
We are fighting the poor governance in Meru and the poor leadership in Meru, Mr. Speaker.
Mwangaza is also facing allegations of gross misconduct on grounds that she deliberately and knowingly misled the public by giving false information that 86 million shillings had been raised after the murder of blogger Daniel Mudhiani, alias Sniper, yet the correct position was that only 286,516 shillings was raised. Kenya also accuses the governor of abuse of office through irregular payments and employment.
Employing a bloated workforce of at least 111 personal staff in the office of the governor, thus contributing to an increase in the wage bill by more than 500 million.
According to Kenya's allegations, Mwangaza paid one Christus Manyara, a public communication officer with the Meru County, his full salary, yet he was in remand for murder charges. 49 MCAs voted to eject Mwangaza, who failed to show up for the debate to counter the accusations against her. A total of 17 MCAs voted to reject her impeachment, while 3 did not vote.
If given an opportunity anytime, I can impeach honorable members, not the governor. They are the people who have really sabotaged the development of this county and not the governor. I'm sorry to say that.
This is the 5th motion calling for her impeachment, with the governor having been impeached 3 times in her first term in office. Mwangaza was first impeached in December 2022, barely 3 months into office, but the resolution was overturned by Senate on December 30th, 2022. She was again impeached on October 26th, 2023, but the Senate acquitted her of all the 7 charges on 9th of November 2023. Her 4th impeachment motion had been withdrawn after High Court referred the case pitting Governor Mwangaza and the Meru County Assembly to the Njuri Ncheke Council of Elders for determination, only for the MCAs to introduce a fresh motion seeking her ouster moments after withdrawing the one that had attracted the legal battle.
For public service to get working and people of Meru get services, Kawira must.
Mwangaza's fate now depends on the Senate, which will have to decide on whether to uphold her ouster or not. Safin Acheng Omar, Citizen TV.
Right, it's now time for data points. Like I told you, about 153,000 students are expected to be allocated places in public universities by different institutions that are managing that, and the help that is the Higher Education Loans Board is working on the applications so far received. Let's take a look at what some of those considerations will be. So as they look at how much every learner should be allocated in terms of scholarship, the loan, as well as the upkeep they should receive, they'll be looking at the family economic background in terms of the income that they have, affirmative action, should they be persons with disabilities or persons that also consider the question of marital status. Socio-demographic data will also be looked at, as well as a family education expenditure, meaning if one has siblings that are also in different levels of education, that would be a factor. So there are 5 bands that the institutions, including Higher Education Loans Board, have identified. The first band is for families that whose income is up to 5,995 shillings. The second band, monthly income of up to 23,670. The third band is families that earn up to 70,000 shillings every month. Band 4, 120,000 shillings is the maximum income every month, and then families whose income is more than 120,000 shillings are in band 5. I'll be showing you how that will be varying. For instance, in band 1, remember about the 5,000, just under 6,000 shillings of income, the government scholarship will be up to 70%. The loan will be 25%, which is the lowest amount of loan, and then the family will be contributing 5%. So if you do the math, then that tells you that loan plus the government scholarship will be 95%, and the families will be contributing up to 5%. This is an important number because the upkeep that will come from the Higher Education Loans Board, which will be a loan, will be 60,000 for the poorest of families. The second band is that families that earn up to 23,000 shillings, the 60% is the government scholarship, 30% is a loan from HELB, and 10% is what families will be expected to raise for that learner, and upkeep will be up to 55,000 shillings. For the third band of families that earn up to 70,000 shillings, the government scholarship will be half of it, which is 50% of the total cost of the course. then 30% to be the loan, and families will contribute up to 20%, and the upkeep allocation will be 50,000 again. That is a loan. Band 4 for families that earn up to 120,000 shillings. 40% is the government allocation of a scholarship, 30% is the loan, and 30% again is what the family will be expected to contribute, and 45,000 is the upkeep, again in form of a loan. For the wealthiest that earn more than 120,000 shillings every month, the government scholarship will be just 30%, the loan will be 30%, that in total will be 60%, and therefore the balance of 40% will be catered for by the family. The upkeep allocation will be 40,000 shillings. Let's take an example of a program at Moi University. If you're studying medicine and the cost is 612,000 shillings every year, that is how different cadres of those bands will be paying, including the family that is the poorest family that makes less than 6,000 shillings every month. They'll be paying up to 30,000 in a year, meaning it's about 15,000 if it's a 2-semester program. And then the loan, which is this amount of 153,000, it will come to 918,000 shillings for the 6-year course. But of course, that does not include the upkeep, which is 60,000 shillings every year. And then that's how it flows up to the band 5, the wealthiest. They'll be paying 244,800 shillings from the family every year. So every semester would be about 122,000 shillings, and the loan will be a total of 1.1 million shillings. Let's take a look at another program at university. This is Bachelor of Education Arts at Case University. It costs 283,000. So the different bands, the allocations for the scholarship, you can see them there. The loans are based on the percentages, and then the families, the poorest family will pay 14,157 shillings every year, which is just over 7,000 shillings every other semester. And the loan will be totaling to 283,000 shillings. And then, so the wealthiest that is studying education arts in Kisii University, the family will pay 113,000 shillings, 254 shillings, and therefore the loan will just be over 339,000 shillings. Let's take a look at one of the cheapest programs, which is a Bachelor of Arts at a cost of 122,000 shillings for, rather 122,400 shillings. So the scholarship for the government will cater for different bands as indicated, and therefore the family that is the poorest will be paying 6,120 shillings. And for the band 2, this is the family that earns up to 23,000, they'll be paying up to 12,000 shillings, which is 6,000 shillings every other semester. So therefore you can see that the loans also will be up to 146,000 shillings every year. Or rather for the 4-year program. Then if you have to look at the different bands, remember that you've categorized based on the socioeconomic factors. So the HELB is saying that in band 1, families that earn up to 6,000 shillings are just about 18%, and the families that earn up to 120,000 shillings are 42%, and the families that earn up to more than 120,000 shillings is just about 8%. And that is the figures that are shown there, including band 3, which is for families that earn up to 70%, or rather 70,000 shillings, are just about 18%. And that is data point for this week. All right, we now want to take you live to the home of businessman and politician Jimmy Wanjigi, and Gatete Njoroge has been there this evening. Gatete, good evening, and maybe you can start by telling us what you're able to see, because we reported earlier on that more police officers have come to the home of businessman Wanjigi. What can you tell us?
Thank you, Gituku. As you have rightly put it, Gituku, we are about 300 meters from the main gate leading to the home of politician Jimmy Wanjigi, the Safina party leader. And we have been camping here for the last 1 hour, Gituku. And we came here after we received reports from the family that there are more police officers had been deployed at the home. What we understand currently, Gituku, is that police officers are inside that compound, and the operation that is ongoing, Gituku, is that they are looking for the politician Jimmy Wanjigi. Wanjigi. The search comes hours after the Acting Inspector General Gilbert Masengeli announced to the nation that they had intercepted a personal motor vehicle, a Prado model, and even gave the registration details, KDC 883R in Mudaiga, at the residence of Jimmy Wanjigi. And in the vehicle, they recovered 4 tear gas canisters, 2 Motorola gadgets, 7 assorted chargers for the pocket phones, and 1 mobile phone. And that investigators were on the ground to basically to get more details in regards to the items that were recovered. Gituku, we have been camping here for the last 1 hour. We have not been able to access the home. We were standing outside the home because there are very many police officers here. What I've been able to witness is that there are 3 police vans, and there are also a number more other police vehicles that are here. The operation is being led by a senior police officer from Nairobi area. At the moment, Gituku, what we can confirm is that those police officers, they are going around that compound, basically looking for the politician Jimmy Wanjigi, and there have been claims from police is that he's being suspected of funding the protests that were witnessed today, Gituku. But at the moment, the police have not been able to talk to us to ascertain those details. But what we can confirm is that what is happening at the moment is that police officers have taken charge at Jimmy Wanjigi's residence, and what is happening at the moment, it is search for the politician who is held up in his house. Up to this moment, what we understand is that they have not been able to arrest the politician. But what is also what is bringing a lot of questions, Gituku, is the fact that the Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli had announced to the country and had told and had urged the politician to surrender to the nearest police station so that he can answer to these queries that they had after they were able to recover a number of assorted items in the motor vehicle. At the moment, Gituku, why even we're doing this link 300 meters away from the house is because from the gate. It is because we were not able to get the network, and because we understand from the reports we are getting and even from some of the vehicles we are seeing there is that they are jammers. So from the main gate, you cannot be able to make a phone call or be able to be in communication, Gituku, and that's why we are about 300 meters. But if my camera person can just show you, he can just show you what is happening. You can see there are a number of vehicles lined up along this road. This is in Mudaiga Estate in Nairobi, and the Jimmy Wanjigi's home is about there are about 4 homes before you get to his home. And so we are not able to do the link directly outside this gate because you cannot be able to communicate, because we understand that we have reports that they have jammed the network, Gituku, and so we had to move a bit about 300 meters from the main gate to be able to have our link, Gituku. But we are going to camp here until we know if a police officer will arrest the politician and where they'll take him, and maybe some of the questions that will arise. We understand he is also in together with his lawyer, and also the family is also held up inside. So Gituku, at the moment, it's a wait and see situation. What is happening at the moment, what I can confirm is that police officers are inside the compound. They are still looking for him. They have not been able to get him, Gituku. But we'll be camping here throughout the night, and we'll be able to inform our viewers what will be happening at the residence.
Now in business, the Dongo-Kundu bypass connecting Mombasa to the south coast is now complete. The road that has been under construction since 2018 is now partially open to motorists and is expected to reduce the time it takes to travel from Mombasa to Kwale to just 20 minutes. The Kenya National Highway Authority, KENHA, opened the Dongo-Kundu bypass with restricted access to heavy commercial vehicles as the contractor completes the other section of the carriageway. The move is a sign of relief for motorists and passengers and is expected to reduce traffic at the Likoni Channel. And as Francis Mtalaki now reports, President William Ruto is expected to officially open the 17.5-kilometer road later this month.
The long wait to access the 17.5-kilometer Mombasa Southern Bypass, commonly known as Dongo-Kundu Package 2, is finally over.
Let me go try it.
This is after Kenya National Highway Authority, KENHA, opened a section of the road to be used by small vehicles as the contractor completes the other section of the carriageway. The move is a sign of relief to motorists and passengers.
It was a beautiful, smooth journey. The scenery was lovely. It's just smooth the whole way and fast. Smooth, fast, and no maneno.
This road is 30 years late. It ought to have been here a long, long time ago because it has restrained the growth of the South Coast for a long time. So I think this is the beginning of the flourishing of the southern coasts.
Kutafunguka hata ile eneo la Dongo Kundu lote. Mainvestor watashuka kwa wingi kwa sababu maendeleo hayawezi kuja ikiwa hakuna barabara, hakuna usalama.
We took a ride along the 17.5-kilometer road built at a cost of 40 billion shilling. The project that began in October 2019 consists of 2 bridges that connect Kibundani and Mteza. Mteza is now the longest bridge, measuring 1.4 kilometers over the ocean, linking the island to Kwale. Our trip taking 21 minutes, with other motorists even less.
Yeah, 15 minutes. But we've been going slowly because we've been wanting to really enjoy the scenery on the first ride here, bwana.
Tunatumia muda mrefu ukifika ferry, foleni, masaa, unapoteza wakati. Kule unakokwenda unakuta saa nyingine umechelewa, lakini sasa hii unawahi tu mwenyewe.
As construction of the other section of the road is expected to be complete in the next 14 days, KENHA say they will introduce a toll station once complete and operational.
Ni afadhali hata ikiwa watalipia 200. Ni vile vile tu ni sawa kwenda tualipia feri na kungoja na kupoteza wakati. Hapa kutakuwa ni sawa kwa sababu ni kulipa, si hakuna delay yote, ni kulipa na kupita.
Na nawaomba wafanye haraka, wafungue laini zote mbili ili zile gari makubwa pia yanayosimama kule feri yaondoke aje yakipita na njia hii. Mimi niko tayari hata kwa kulipa 300, lakini ile usumbufu wa feri kwa kweli unaumiza sana.
President William Ruto is expected to officially open the Dongo Kundu Package 2 once the final touches are complete on one part of the road. Francis Mtlaki, Citizen TV, Mombasa.
Now, Stanbic Bank Kenya has reported a profit after tax of 7.2 billion shillings, representing a 2% growth in net earnings for the first half of 2024. According to the bank, this demonstrates resilience against a challenging global economic backdrop marked by inflationary pressures and geopolitical instability. The bank also recorded notable growth across key financial metrics that saw its balance sheet grow by 30% year-on-year. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
Half of the year, Stanbic Bank recorded a net interest income growth of 4% to stand at 12.6 billion shillings on the back of growth in the average lending, with their operating costs declining by 7%, a decline that the lender has attributed to base effects of previous year's investment aimed at improving customer satisfaction. In the same period, the lender saw an increase in customer deposits, which grew by 39% to close the half at 360 billion shillings. This allowed the bank to lend more to customers, growing their loan book by 54 billion shillings. Credit to SMEs accounted for 25 billion shillings, while credit to the agricultural ecosystem stood at 7 billion shillings.
The big story for the first half of this year has been about the curing of some of the names and working with our customers to cure some of the challenges that they've had. And the environment continues to be challenging, but therefore staying close to our customers and working with them continues to be premium.
So our local currency growth of loans are up today close to 30%. And that's a very significant investment we continue to make, even in this environment that we see difficulties. Remember that our foreign currency portfolio has kind of reduced because of revaluation on the new exchange rates. And so you always have to monitor those two elements on our loan growth.
Stanbic Bank now says it intends to double its SME business from the current 55,000 in the medium term, noting that the sector presents a significant opportunity for growth. At the same time, the lender, which has close to 10% of its balance sheet in government securities, says it will continue to invest in the asset class despite the lowering of rates by the central bank.
A year ago, everybody was getting nervous about debt redemption for the Eurobond. Every single conversation. Today, everyone has forgotten about it. Yeah. So one of the things we bring on the table is leveraging the energy and capabilities for the group to provide solutions for our countries. Because, believe you me, we are one of the banks that will be affected the most if we don't find solutions for our country.
Stanbic Board has declared an interim dividend of 1.84 shillings per share, reflecting confidence in the bank's ability to address emerging challenges. The Regional Chief Executive, Patrick Muheri, highlighted that the bank is well positioned to benefit from the current macroeconomic environment, particularly with the expected interest rate cuts from advanced economies. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Cane farmers in the country have threatened to forego harvesting of their produce following reduction of cane buying price to 4,900 shillings per ton. The Agriculture and Food Authority made the announcement of the reduction to millers, sparking the farmers' protest. AFA attributes the price cut to an oversupply in production. Dennis Otieno reports.
Hopes of improved cane prices for farmers continue to fade following the reduction of prices from 5,100 shillings to 4,950 shillings per ton. The move by the Agriculture and Food Authority AFA has angered farmers who have now vowed to hold on to their produce until their interests are met.
No cane is going to be harvested, and all that has been harvested must be lifted by the end of the day on Monday. But then after that, no factory will actually be allowed to bring cane harvesters into our farms, so that we are able to say we can discuss if you are ready to discuss with us, but you cannot arbitrarily agree to reduce the price of my cane without even discussing with me.
This marks the third time prices have dropped since March this year, from 6,050 shillings to 5,900 shillings per ton. The second revision was done in April, from 5,900 shillings per ton to 5,100 shillings per ton.
Because there's a court order which stopped the industry, the factories, the sugar companies, to reduce the cane price from 5,900 to 5,100. We went to court as farmers, but then they have just ignored the court order.
According to AFA, the price cut is as a result of increase in supply of sugar over the last 3 months. Data from the regulator shows production hit 56,200 tons in May this year. This rose by 34% to reach 75,500 tons in June. The country, however, surpassed its target in July this year, producing 83,800 tons, exceeding monthly consumption by nearly 4,000 metric tons. The cane buying price is likely to continue with a downward trend as AFA projects further increase in production in the coming months. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
The East African Development Bank has launched an 892 million shilling program to supercharge the growth of small and medium enterprises across Kenya. In partnership with Sidian Bank, HF Bank, Development Bank of Kenya, and the Kenya Women's Finance Trust, EADB will fund the initiative targeting over 1,300 SMEs nationwide. These financial institutions will extend direct loans to SMEs in sectors including agriculture, transport, commerce, and manufacturing.
It's MSME sector that is going to help us to grow our economy, and which is going to get us out of these challenges we are having, especially about the youth unemployment. If you look at our job market today, we have a potential workforce of about 20 million Kenyans. These are Kenyans who are at the age of doing something for at least which can drive economic value. But only 3.5 million or thereabout are formally employed. Again, out of the 3.5 million, the government, the civil service sector can only take up to 1 million. It's not yet even 1 million. And then the rest are in the private sector. So that shows that the only room we have to create jobs for our young generation is in the private sector.
For over 50 years, the East African Development Bank has been at the forefront of driving economic development in East Africa. with a particular focus on small and medium-sized enterprises. In Kenya, the bank and its partners have played a pivotal role in catalyzing economic growth as SMEs form the backbone of the economy.